Morning. I want to remind everyone that the Tzidkas HaTzadik shiur will continue this morning at 9:15. Also want to welcome Rabbi Goodman and family, made Aliyah to Eretz Yisrael yesterday. Should have a good yishuv. I want to continue on my little series about Kashrus, change subjects, and I want to talk about medications. This is something that comes up, for better or for worse, all the time. Do medications need to be kosher? Specifically, people ask about supplements. They ask about gelcap, Tylenol or Advil or whatever. Gel means gelatin, which is not kosher. There's a lot of these questions around, and I want to speak about it a little bit. But today, the introduction, how the whole thing works. The Gemara says that if you have a nevela means an unshechted animal, you found it in the street, an unshechted animal, give it to a guy. So that's what the Gemara says, and the pasuk says, and that's what the Gemara comments on that if it's not right to give to a guy, then you may as well eat it yourself because it's not really food. So says the Gemara. In other words, the ger asher b'sharecha titnana, Roy lager titnano, and roy lager is not food. So it means to say if the nevela is so rotten that it's not even givable to a guy, so then it's not a nevela at all. What are you supposed to do with it? Nothing. So, but let's say you'd want to eat it. So here the Gemara tells us treif it's not. Treif it's not. It might be usher bal tishaksu. It might be usher, but it's not treif. That's midoraisa. Midirabanan. The Machlekes Rishonim, the Rosh and the Rambam, whether it is treif or it's not treif, midirabanan. So the Rambam says that it's asur midirabanan. Again, we don't know exactly in this case, like learning this Gemara, like in the Rambam, what do you want to do with it? But it's not, by the way, the Mishnah Berurah says, just to skip, in the Bir Halacha and Hilchos Pesach, Mishnah Berurah says, Avagav b'shari surim kol she'ein roy lachilas adam mutter. Any Mishnah Berurah says a yisoid, that any food which is not royal achilas adam, you're allowed to eat. It's a little bit of a strange irony, but in our day and age with technology, this is not a difficult thing to understand at all. It's mutter, that's what the Bir Halacha says, and that's really the reason why noisen tam לפגם is mutter, that if something, a tam that's in a pot for 24 hours, it's not royal achila. And so therefore it's not really a noisen tam of an hechsher, it's a noisen tam of a pagam. And since it's a noisen tam of a pagam, it's mutter. The Rambam comes along and he says, but it's asur midirabanan. Others argue with him, the Rosh and the Ram, they argue with him, but the Shulchan Aruch goes with the Rambam, and the Shulchan Aruch says that asur midirabanan. The Rambam's lashon is pater, the Shulchan Aruch lashon is asur midirabanan, any type of something which is pasul la'achila. So, what does it mean? It means that, just to get right to the halacha l'maisa with this, it means that if you would eat something which is not royal la'achila, the big question came up at the after the war and after when all the Jews came to America. So there was really big struggle with kashrus, and gelatin was everywhere. In fact, when I was a young child, so there wasn't so many hechsherim like there are now. So I was taught to look at a package and see if it has gelatin. It has gelatin, you don't eat it. It doesn't have gelatin, to eat it. That was our simple rule of kashrus. I'm sure I ate a lot of treif, but that was before the OU was on everything and everything was on everything. You just looked for gelatin. What is gelatin? Gelatin's made from a treif animal, probably, unless it's a shechted animal. It's made from a treif animal. What's the hechsher is pashut. There were many poskim at that time, many rabbanim at that time, that said that gelatin is mutter. Why? Because the process of making gelatin is you take something which is raui laachila, it is edible, you turn it into something which is inedible, and once you turned it into inedible, you make them, just impossible. You can't take a teaspoon of gelatin and eat it. You can if it's jello, but you can't if it's the actual raw product of gelatin. So therefore, many rabbanim said it's mutter. Rav Moshe Feinstein said it's asur. Why would it be asur? Because First of all, because the Rambam says it's aser, an inedible thing, it's aser. But second of all, now you've taken this, and this is fascinating, you've taken this non-food, you've taken gelatin, which is a food, you've made it into a non-food, and now you're putting it into the marshmallows, yeah? So now you're making it food again. So, by the way, the biggest nisayon of Kashrus in childhood was marshmallows, because marshmallows are full of gelatin, and couldn't eat marshmallows because it had gelatin in it, and yet it had a hechsher on it. At some point, it did have a hechsher on it, so that was like the sign if you were really from or not. If you ate marshmallows, that was the big. And the point is the gelatin is in there. Gelatin is just an example. There are many things that are they can become. They're non-food, and then you can make them into food again. You restore its food. Now the question is, when you restore its food, does that retain its original heter, or does it become usher again? This is called in Halachic language, and this is really all I'm going to say today. We'll apply to medicine tomorrow. This is called אחשביה. אחשביה means that there's a case with things that are makabel tumah. There's all over Shas. You have this idea that even though something is not something, but if you consider it to be something, in your mind you consider it to be something, then it becomes something. If you have something which is just a stone or a piece of metal, it's not a keli. But if I say, oh, that's a screwdriver, so now it becomes a screwdriver and it becomes a keli and it's makabel tumah. Same thing is with אחשביה, so power of the mind. The same thing is with tevilas kelim. It could be that once you take something which is not a keli, you have to tevel it if it's אחשביה. Same thing is with food. If something is non-edible and then I make it edible in my mind, or I know it's going to be edible, so then it might become food again. So this is the machlokas ha-gelatin, b'chlal. Again, I say gelatin is only one example of something inedible becoming edible. Me'ikar adim midaraisa. Once something is unedible, it's mutter. Midrabanan might be usher. We're talking about chaylim tomorrow with this drabanan. But it could be that it becomes usher doraisa again because of the אחשביה. And here you have the whole thing. I just want to give a sneak preview that the poskim say, Chazon Ish, Rabbi Feinstein, others, they say that if you take a piece of poison and you use it as medicine, so is that, which is, by the way, I don't know how common it is in modern medicine, but it's very common, let's say in Chinese medicine and these type of medicine, where you take something dafka, a little bit of cyanide every day is good for you, So let's say you do that. Is that אחשביה or is it not אחשביה? If that item is treif, is that called אחשביה? Here the Chazon Ish says brilliantly that that's not אחשביה. You're eating it because it's a non-food. In such a case, you're eating it because it's poison, and somehow or another that's going to help you. What's called the little pills, a little bit of, I just said cyanide. Homeopathic medicine is a tiny little bit, somehow maybe creates some kind of reaction in your body, but you're eating it, or you're eating it dafka, and those taste good also. You're eating it dafka because it's not food. You're eating it dafka because it's a bad thing. So the Chazon Ish comes along and says, there's no אחשביה in such a case. So if you're a chayla and you're eating gelatin because you're a chayla, you're not turning it into marshmallows. You're letting it remain with its status of non-food. Is this clear to everybody? Because I'm saying a lot of lumdus in 2 minutes here. But okay, we'll expand on it. But that's the beginning of eating inedible items.